Welcome to this short video focusing on some of the key features of Advanced HE's Leading Departments programme. My name is Doug Parkin and I'm the Programme Director for Leading Departments jointly with my guest today, Paul Hessey. Now, in addition to facilitating leadership development, Paul is also an actor. Paul devised and wrote the university simulation that is the main learning experience running through the Leading Departments programme. Participants on the programme get to experience and explore a series of crucial conversations that really encapsulate the challenge of departmental leadership. Paul also leads the small group of actors that work very closely with us on the course itself. So, welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for giving us some time today to talk about leading departments. So to begin with, head of department, service or centre is probably the most recognisable leadership role in higher education. What would you highlight as the key challenge for leaders at this level?
I think that's a really good question, Doug, and I think one of the things that comes up consistently through the programme, but also I often have the pleasure of coaching of some of the leaders who come through the training and through the programme, and so I get a chance to talk to them in some depth afterwards. And I think the thing that comes up most often is that often for people this is their first significant leadership role.
Yes.
And so the big challenge they often talk about is how do I find the time and the space to take a step back from the day-to-day and really think more strategically about my department and how I'm trying to develop it and lead it. How do I find the time to build those relationships that I need to build outside the department and across the university? So it's really that challenge of taking a step back, finding the time to think strategically, maybe delegate a bit more to existing team members, and then really put together a plan of action. How do I promote my department? How do I put those great ideas out there that I really want to do to change my department? So that's the big challenge that people often talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's that shift really, isn't it, from sort of reactive mode to creating that space for the proactive and the strategic, as you say. Now, you've designed and written the really fantastic university simulation that, as I said before, sits right at the heart of leading departments. How would you describe the learning experience that comes from that?
Well, the word we use most often is the word experiential. Just so to say a bit more about that, the whole simulation is based around the chance for people who come on the training to think about a mythical but very realistic department that they will be leading. And it's a chance to do those things we've already talked about, take that strategic view of that department, what needs to change, how can we develop it? But also it's a chance to practice, and I think practice is the really important word here. Practice those conversations that we need to have with different stakeholders to make that strategy a reality. So as we know, every strategy ultimately comes down to the quality of the individual interactions we have with different stakeholders along the way. So it's a great chance to practice that. And then I think the thing that really brings the value is the feedback that they get as a result of their practice. So everyone involved from the Advanced HE point of view is an experienced coach and facilitator, can often offer some really good feedback to people. But I also think the other benefit is that you get a chance to get feedback from your peers, peers who are working in other institutions. And I think people often like the fact that they find out that, oh, hello, other people face the same problems I do elsewhere. And what are some of the strategies they've used to overcome those? So it's that chance to practice and get some really great feedback on your strengths and where you might develop.
Absolutely. And thinking back, those moments when people time out and turn to their colleagues and just get that in the moment feedback is so powerful, isn't it? It's amazing. So following on from that, Paul, say a little about the range of crucial leadership conversations that the simulation explores.
Yeah, it really gives people a chance to practice that whole range of conversations that we might need to turn our strategy into a reality. So it's anything from influencing managing upwards, to your immediate boss or to other senior individuals within the university. influencing outside your department and outside the university with other stakeholders there. Dealing with those sorts of conversations that come up where there are conflicting priorities and conflicting objectives between different individuals, which are quite natural, but we have to deal with those. And then some of those conversations which can be tough, like giving difficult messages or giving tough feedback to team members or others around you. And then that other more pleasurable piece and that role of a leader of developing others, and in particular focusing on that skill of coaching to develop others to achieve their potential. So it's really the full range of sorts of conversations that we all encounter in those leadership roles.
Yeah. Well, the way you describe it sounds really comprehensive, and just in a short number of days to go through those kind of conversations that might take many months to experience. Yeah, fantastic.
Absolutely.
So what would you say to anyone who's interested in the Leading Departments program, but perhaps a little daunted by the idea of, participating in a simulation?
I think I'd go back to that word practice, Doug, really, is that actually, how often do we get a chance to really practice these conversations in a completely safe environment where it doesn't really matter whether you succeed or fail? Maybe try something new, try something different. We just don't always get that opportunity because in reality, there's always something we're trying to achieve with our conversations. So great chance to practice. But I think the other thing is it's often people may think, oh, this is about just my development areas. And of course, that's important. But I also think any program like this is a great chance to take a step back and remind yourself why you've been put in a position of leadership and what your strengths are, and maybe go away thinking more consciously about, well, how can I apply my strengths to even greater use? So it's practice, and it's a chance to think about, what am I good at? What could I be better at? And get a chance to develop that in a safe way.
Yeah, yeah. And working with you on the programs, Paul, the anxiety, quickly drops away, doesn't it, when people start to engage, and it becomes about exactly what you say, the practice, the feedback and the conversations themselves.
Yeah.
So finally, leading through influence is a really big part of the Leading Department program. A huge part of it is a central theme, really. So as a little taster, what one key message would you give us today about effective interpersonal influence?
Okay, well, I'm going to borrow from Stephen Covey here, and the author of 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. I think what great influencers do as a principle is they have that principle, that habit of seek first to understand and then to be understood. So at the heart of great influence is taking the time to really understand the other person's perspective, however difficult or opposite that might be to your own. And by doing that, you have a chance to really shape your idea or your request in terms and in language that's really going to resonate with them. So really taking that time to understand is important. And so I think the word curiosity springs to mind as a really important principle for great influencers. And I think the time when people most find it difficult to be curious is when we most need it. So when we're under pressure, when our own agenda is really strong, when the person disagrees with us, that's sometimes when that curiosity can disappear. But that's when we really need to stay curious so that we can keep understanding the other perspective and keep tailoring and remaining relevant to the other person.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a wonderful set of words from Covey there, isn't there? And it involves both observing and listening, that tuning in. Well, listen, thank you very much indeed, Paul. That's given a wonderful flavour of the key features of the Leading Department programme. Thank you very much indeed. Now, for further details regarding Leading Departments, or to make an inquiry or to make a booking, just follow the link that's alongside this video. So from both myself and Paul today, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.